speaker on TuneIn, iHeart, and radio.com.
It is 7:37 in the Team Hochberg Traffic Center. Here is Jim Talamonte.
Inbound Kennedy traffic is heavy from Nagel most of the way to the Hubbard Street Tunnel. It's 48 minutes O'Hare to downtown, 28 from Montrose, 22 in the Express. Outbound, looking at 31 minutes to the airport. Edens, 24 minutes Lake Cook Junction, outbound 26. Inbound Eisenhower, 50 minutes, 390 to downtown, 35 from Wolf, outbound 38 minutes to 390. Stevenson, 50 minutes, 355 to the Drive. The Ryan, 28 minutes from 95th. I-57, 27 minutes, I-80 to the Merge, Bishop 422. Southbound Lakeshore Drive is heavy Montrose to North Avenue. Westbound Tri-State delays are Archer to 75th, from the Stevenson to 47th, and from the Reagan Tollway to past the Eisenhower. And that's traffic. I'm Jim Talamonte on AM 560 The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. In our 1-hour heating and air conditioning weather center, a cloudy day ahead, high of 33 ahead of snow showers tonight. 27 right now. Next news coming up at 8. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560 The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by the Alpha Wealth Group, bringing the trilogy of estate, tax, and investment planning together. Visit alphawealthgroup.com for a free report.
If you're looking for the latest news, insight into what it means, and the sharp
State of the Union address yesterday. Jobs are booming, incomes are soaring, poverty is plumbing, crime is falling, confidence is surging, and our country is thriving. And the future is bright. It was optimistic in tone, and particularly with respect to the economy, there was much to be optimistic about as he went through some of the details.
Since my election, we have created 7 million new jobs, 5 million more than government experts projected during the previous administration.
Importantly, talking not just about jobs created, but connecting that to people no longer dependent on the government, people who've effectively got their lives back.
In 8 years under the last administration, over 300,000 working-age people dropped out of the workforce. In just 3 years of my administration, 3.5 million people, working-age people, have joined the workforce.
And, of course, providing the foundation for that economic revival is the energy sector.
America is now energy independent, and energy jobs, like so many other elements of our country, are at a record high.
And that energy independence, that booming energy sector, has led to a robust manufacturing sector.
We are doing numbers that no one would have thought possible just 3 years ago. Likewise, we are restoring our nation's manufacturing might, even though predictions were, as you all know, that this could never, ever be done. After losing 60,000 factories under the previous 2 administrations, America has now gained 12,000 new factories under my administration, with thousands upon thousands of plants and factories being planned or being built. Companies are not leaving. They are coming back to the USA. The fact is that everybody wants to be where the action is, and the United States of America is indeed the place where the action is.
The USA is where the action is. For more on that, we're pleased to be joined by Steve Moore, who's always where the action is, economist, Wall Street Journal columnist, author of Trumponomics, Inside the America First Plan to Revive Our Economy. Steve, thanks for being with us.
Hi, Dan. Hi, Amy.
So give us your review of the president's remarks, particularly on matters economic.
Well, look, I mean, it was a well-deserved victory lap. It was a very, very good speech. It was a pretty easy speech to give because everything is going very well. It's hard to point to just about anything that's going wrong with the economy right now. We're firing on all cylinders. So it was morning again in America, and that was Ronald Reagan in 1984, running on that same kind of theme. I did think, watching the speech, I have to say, I was so disgusted by the Democrats. I mean, it's been well remarked on that they acted like a bunch of spoiled kids that are rooting against America. They were sourpusses. The Democratic Party is a bunch of Debbie Downers, and they couldn't, their hatred, their deep rooted hatred for Trump has them acting in ways that aren't even in their own self-interest. I mean, we saw that obviously with this, the fiasco of the impeachment, but last night, even Nancy Pelosi, she was like a nun waving her ruler, trying to get her own, members to stop misbehaving. So, what is wrong with those people? Again, they acted like kids.
All kinds of things are wrong with them. One of the moments that was interesting, and this will be under remarked upon, just because there were so many great stories that were told. But Juan Guaido from Venezuela, his presence in the gallery, and then the standing ovation that he got from all parties concerned, I thought it was fascinating. Wait a second, why are you applauding Juan Guaido as the rightful president of Venezuela, Democrats? It's just a few years ago, including with respect to your leading candidate for the Democrat nomination for president, that you were talking about the Chavez-Maduro economic miracle in Venezuela.
Yeah, that was very effective. I thought it was very effective of Trump to do that, because it really reminds people of the idiocy of socialism. And we don't want that socialism. We want the good socialism. I was like, where's that? Show me where the good socialism is. So I thought that was highly effective. I loved one of the highlights of the speech for me, guys, was when he talked about school choice, and he had that young black woman with her young daughter, and said, we're going to make sure that you can go to a good school that is not dangerous and that teaches your kids values that you want. And by the way, I love the fact he keeps calling them the government schools. He doesn't call them public schools. He calls them government schools. I love that.
Yes.
Yeah, they're government-run schools. That's been the big problem with our public school system. And, this is the issue of I really believe this is the civil rights issue of our time. And Republicans have to drive this issue, just as they need to do in cities like Chicago, to say to, minority parents, we're the ones who are for your kids' education. We want your kids to get the best education possible. It's the Democrats who care more about teachers' unions, and there's nowhere in the country where that's more true than in Chicago. Because, look, the teachers' unions run that town, right? And so I thought that was highly, highly effective, and it'll be interesting to see. Trump really reached out to minorities in that speech in so many ways, whether it was the people he presented, whether it was the message of lowering unemployment rates for minorities, increasing incomes. And we will see how Trump does with the minority vote in 2020, but I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't shatter all records.
It's interesting just talking about socialism, whether it's in Venezuela or in Chicago and in the school systems in general in big urban centers. This survey out the other day from the NBC Wall Street Journal survey on socialism. We focus a lot on, Bernie's momentum and young people of the left being attracted to Bernie and the promise of free stuff. And that's what the Democratic Party is in the business of, trying to outcompete one another to promise goods and services that somebody else is going to have to pay for. But in the general electorate, pull back a little bit, get beyond the navel gazing of the Democrat socialists. In the general electorate, 52% view capitalism positively, just 19% said the same about socialism. They're basically negative. They're basically negative composites. So this idea of framing 2020 as capitalism versus socialism has some real currency for Republicans.
Well, now, was that a poll of all voters or just Democratic voters?
No. All voters. And 40%.
What were the numbers again?
52% viewed capitalism positively. Just 19% said the same about socialism. General electorate. The Democrat primary voters, 40% view socialism positively, but that's out of step with the rest of the country by a wide margin.
Well, a couple of points about that. First of all, capitalism is what creates the wealth and the prosperity of our country. So I'm actually dismayed that only 52%. Now, maybe that term doesn't work anymore. Maybe we have to talk free enterprise or something like that. But, the fact that only half of Americans viewed that, look, everything we have, ladies and gentlemen, the car you're driving in, the radio you're listening to, the computer I'm tapping on, everything we have is a result of the free market system. It is not a result of redistribution and socialism. So we've got to do better on that. But, I don't know. Here we are on, this this is Wednesday. They had their caucus on Monday. My line on this, by the way, is this is very much like the Democrats because everyone's a winner, right? And everybody gets a trophy.
Yes, right.
Why declare a winner? We believe everyone deserves a trophy just for showing up.
But I do take away from those survey results, fewer than 1 in 5 Americans, when you pull back and poll the entire electorate, have a positive view of socialism. So the supermajority of Americans are, whatever term you want to apply to capitalism, they're not being fooled by the term socialism.
I think Democrats are in big trouble. I think that it would be a very, very positive thing for the country. Now, look, I'm biased because I work for Trump and I like the man a lot. But I think it's really important for the voters in 2020 to totally repudiate this socialism, higher taxes, income redistribution, radical climate change agenda of the left, and just say, you guys are completely out of touch with everyday Americans. And Trump, again, talked a lot about the middle class last night. Look, not everything is perfect for the middle class, but you're seeing some nice gains in terms of jobs and incomes. And, the voters have to repudiate the Democrats because, today in America, there's no way John F. Kennedy or even Bill Clinton could run as a Democrat. I mean, they are so. Even Joe Biden is apparently too moderate for the Democratic Party today. I don't even know if Barack Obama could run in this field today with some of the positions he took. And 15 years ago, we thought Barack Obama was the most liberal person in the Congress. So the party has been taken over by a radical left. And that has to be struck down. I don't say this with any joy, by the way. By the way, did you hear anything about fiscal responsibility last night?
No. I mean, on the spend side, that was that continues to be a problem. Yes.
Exactly. It was not exactly the era of big government is over, right? All
right.
If there's anything that dismayed me, it's like, we're going to spend money on this and that, and we're going to send a person to the Mars, and we're going to have the government spend more money on education and child care and free, parental leave and all these things. I'm not so sure I'm too wild about that message, Dan and Amy.
Yeah, that's a good
point.
point.
Stephen Moore, let's talk about the pink elephant in the room, the coronavirus. The second largest economy in the world. It's pretty much shut down. And yesterday we learned Nike too. People aren't going to those plants. Apple, Google, they're asking people to work from home. But I'm looking at this video every day. I'm obsessed with this story, by the way. And there are lines of people. There's people passing out, people begging for their lives. This is a serious problem, and I'm glad. I don't want our economy to be affected by this, but I don't know how it can't be.
Well, I don't know what the very latest is on coronavirus.
500 dead.
How many? 500
dead, 24,000 and rising that have it.
So, it's a scary situation. I'm in complete agreement with you. This is, by the way, a little example of why socialism, communism, totalitarianism, whatever you want to call the government there in China. I mean, the fact is that for weeks they covered up the virus.
Yep.
And shame on these people because it's probably responsible for the lives that are being lost. The good news is, again, I haven't seen the news in the last 24 hours on corona, but it looks like it has been, contained in China. I don't think there are any cases of deaths, maybe 1 or 2 outside of China. And the other thing is, look, yesterday was an incredible day for the stock market. It soared, reversing a lot of losses from late last week. So it appears the market has some kind of perception that this is going to be contained, but I haven't followed the very latest. But if it is not contained, you raised a very good point, Amy. If this spreads to other countries, this will have a big, negative impact, obviously, on the lives of people, but it will affect the economy in a big way.
He is Steve Moore, noted economist, Wall Street Journal columnist, and author of Trumponomics, Inside the America First Plan to Revive Our Economy. Steve, thanks for joining us.
And don't forget, guys, you ain't seen nothing yet.
Okay.
That's right. Thank you. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer lines.
Before you see it on TV, share it on Facebook, or read about it in the paper. Hear it here first. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
A business needs to be built on a great foundation, one with the framework of integrity and tradition. Chapel Design Build delivers just that, providing design, build, and general contracting services using Butler Steel Building Systems. Their projects dot the landscape from O'Hare to DeKalb. You see their work in office and warehouse additions, recreational facilities, large-scale distribution centers, and manufacturing plants all over northern Illinois. Partnering with Butler Steel Buildings, Chapel Design Build has developed an extensive subcontractor base and valuable market knowledge to get your quality built project completed on time and on budget, ensuring your project is a success for your business and one that you will be proud of for years to come. The goal is to build lasting relationships with their clients using buildings that last from Butler. Get started on your next building project built with Butler Steel. Visit chapeldb.com. That's Chapel D as in design, B as in build.com.
Hey, we're just a month into 2020. It seems like everyone's getting sick from the common cold to the flu. And you know how you can stay healthy. Boost your immune system and do that by eating well. And that means getting enough fruits and veggies, which I know you aren't doing. So what I started doing again after taking a few weeks off is take balance of nature. I have more energy, I sleep better at night, and I haven't been sick